to do with that?
I find that was distasteful.
The national senior team, whether you like it or not, that is the model for all other teams to follow.
I'm assuming that the regional requirement may be a much stricter requirement.
This is not about Pro League and Super League. This is a league run by the Normalization Committee that I'm responsible for.
Nobody expected FIFA to fund this arrangement.
If we don't get a professional attitude towards this, we are doomed for failure.
You break the balance, trip the leg, control the body.
They ain't gonna stand put forever.
Why you want the Chiefs to lose so? Why you want the Chiefs to lose so?
They already have two. Lamar don't
Why?
have.
You're jealous because you know the Chiefs getting closer to the Patriots. Let's go to the last part.
No,
of the
not no.
Let's go to the last part.
We are tackling the hard-hitting topics, some controversial topics, some topics we sweep under the rug. You don't always have to forgive in a relationship for it to move forward.
If it is you are in a situation where you forgive the person, but to the detriment of yourself, what are you really doing?
It is very uncommon for somebody in the younger age group to have dementia.
Atheists don't not believe.
Is that I can't disprove God, but you also can't prove God, so we cannot have a stalemate.
We'll focus on the woman who's been the victim,
right,
or the man who's been the victim. We exclude the children.
Folks are trying to study the underlying brain mechanism to figure out how does this particular disorder happen in the brain? How is the brain processing this?
Don't worry about AI, worry about humans working with AI.
Are you willing to learn new skills to stay relevant for the future job market? That's the challenge that people are going to struggle with.
Pastor J, I want to get a tattoo.
You really
respond to me. Respond to me how you would respond to me.
The first question I'll ask is why?
Controversial taboo topics.
We get so consumed by church, we forget that we have to live the life of being a Christian outside of the Sunday.
Like you say,
services.
we think going to a service makes us a Christian.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right, so here we are about to hear the second time Pastor J wanted to take a tattoo.
Would have been late last year and early this year.
Oh gosh.
Hope Unfiltered podcast with Pastor J and Ren.
Money is something we all deal with, but how many of us truly understand it? What if you could make better decisions with your money? Decisions that secure your future, protect your family, and bring you peace of mind. I'm Darren Jacobs, and I'm here to help you make sense of your dollars. Welcome to Dollars and Cents, the show that breaks down the financial world in ways that matter to you. No jargon, no confusion, just real conversations about money, your money. So join me every Wednesday at 10 a.m. on WESN for Dollars and Cents.
As always, we appreciate you starting your day with us. Let's get into this morning's first conversation.
Is the country's healthcare system more at risk, more than ever?
Why it has remained unaddressed for so long.
Political parties get lots of cash, big cash from financiers, and then when they get that now, you can't account for it. But it's really the specialist nurses who we are in a greater shortfall for.
We can tap into the resources and have them, at least form some mentorship programs.
Highlight our food systems, and which will attract persons from all over the world to come and experience something that actually supports the local economy.
We're lucky that we have a vibrant legal system that allows change to take place, and it's not that matters are just swept under the carpet and discrimination is allowed to be perpetrated.
A lot of people don't know that, there were attempts to ban the carnival, suppress the carnival.
WESN.
morning and welcome to AM Prime on WESN. I am Naomi Macnish. So this morning I'm joined by two distinguished guests, Professor Modaldo Tunion of the Technological University of Panama and Mr. Antonio Ayala, CEO and founder of Risco Limited, also based in Panama. Together they'll help us explore one of the most transformative forces of our time, artificial intelligence, and how it's reshaping the way we live, work, and do business across Central America. From automation to innovation, we'll discuss both opportunities and challenges that come with this rapidly evolving technology. And also what are some of the real benefits that it could place for the region. Good morning, gentlemen. Welcome to AM Prime.
Thank you.
So to begin, Professor Tunion, from an academic perspective, how would you describe the evolution of AI's role in our daily life and the industry across Central America?
This is a very interesting question. Artificial intelligence is in our lives, in everything what we do. For students, for high school students, it is very important to notice that now you have to study harder than ever before in order to be able to compete, because artificial intelligence is basically programs, computer programs that help you predict, classify, group, generate new data and new information, and is helping you in your daily tasks. So it is very important for a student to study harder than ever in order to be able to compete with people that know about artificial intelligence. So this is a must. Also for college students, it is a need in order to understand everything, that everything is changing basically. In the business sector, for many business executives, risk is a major issue in their daily work. Risk. How do you handle risk and uncertainty? And the fact is that for the past 10 years, we are using more and more mathematics instead of text and a usual conversation. We're using more numbers. So we are switching from literacy to numeracy. Now math is very important, and that's why many countries in the region and in the world are promoting a new skill to be achieved by the time you are 18 years old. You have to be very good at math in order to apply to advanced studies or to work. It is very important.
Right. So, Mr. Ayala, as someone deeply involved in technology and that whole risk and business aspect, what are some of the biggest ways that AI has already changed business operations, decision-making in the region?
That's a very interesting question. And to be honest, not necessarily a pretty good, easy answer.
Yeah.
Because today, the challenge that most organization has in connection with the use of artificial intelligence is, I would say, two key risks. First one, as Professor Modaldo mentioned, I'm going to lose my job. And the second is in connection data privacy, in connection the data that all these artificial intelligence models are using. So today, organization, in addition to start to use the artificial intelligence, they have to think about how they can protect the data that they are using. And also, most important, is how I can prepare my team, my professional, my executive, to learn how to use artificial intelligence in benefits of an organization. And that is not necessarily a pretty good, easy challenge. It's quite difficult.
Are there differences in terms of understanding AI in the education realm versus the business realm that we should try to understand?
Well, it's going to be the same. In both realms, you have to deal with numerical decision making. It's about how this new life, artificial life, because it's not more about tools, it's about agents. They're going to be around us and they are going to be used for whatever we want. Right now, it's more than just chatbots. They are basically agents, and we are developing billions of agents right now. Massachusetts Institute of Technology has stated that by the year 2030, we're going to have over 1 billion artificial agents surrounding us in our daily lives and jobs. So it is important to notice that now, in order to compete, you have to have high skills in logic, in reasoning, in argumentation, how you speak, how you handle meetings, how you handle your daily needs are going to change rapidly in the coming years.
Do you think we will become, or already have become, dependent on artificial intelligence?
It is a matter of technology, as a matter of fact. It is a technology. So we have been attached to technology for 2,000 years, you know, low technology, high technology. So it is a new technology. As a matter of fact, the paradigm is about people, process, and technology. Maybe some people are concentrating too much in technology. What we believe that we have to do is to concentrate in people. You know, we have to retrain them. Our academic programs at high schools and universities, they have to change. Everybody, no matter if you are studying lawyer or whatever, you need to understand that this is going to be part of your life. So it is important to commit to this.
Just to add to what Professor Modaldo mentioned, and just oriented to your question, is that business professional has to understand that they need to train every single day, because with artificial intelligence, it's not the kind of thing that you learn a bunch of topics and that is enough. No, that's not the way that we learn at the university or maybe in the high school. Now, professional, and when I say professional, I mean in managers, I mean in vice president, even director, they have to learn. Because one of the things that we had seen, not just in Central America, but also in the Caribbean, is that most organizations talk about artificial intelligence. But when you start to ask them how you are using right now artificial intelligence, most of them said we are using ChatGPT or Copilot to make some kind of question. And that's not necessarily the way we at Risco we see we can use artificial intelligence in benefits of the organization.
Yeah. So when you speak about training, this is training to understand artificial intelligence better, training as to how to use it in your daily life, etc. Yes?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And the most interesting thing about what's happening, for example, in countries like Finland and Singapore, Great Britain, Japan, is that they understood this, and the strategy is to promote now metacognitive skills. How to think how I think, to reason how I reason, to try to understand what's happening within of yourself. So these metacognitive skills are now being promoted in almost all of these countries. Yeah. So a change must be taking place in your curricula at the high school level, at the college level, and of course in business. This is going to be everywhere. Yeah. Every 2-3 months we have a major quantum leap in artificial intelligence. It's not about I'm going to wait for 2-3 years to see what's happening. No, every 2 or 3 months we have something radically new. Everything is changing. So it is important to sit down, and I recommend everyone, a student at high school or wherever you are, to think about, to ponder about where am I going? How am I going to be involved in this? What do I have to do to be competitive? Jobs are disappearing, of course, but new jobs are appearing. Just in the past year, in just 1 year, we have 8 new, very outstanding jobs related to artificial intelligence. So it is important to find out. And students in many countries are moving away from those college degrees that they believe are going to be taken, replaced by artificial intelligence, and moving more to trades, because it is important to move away from where artificial intelligence is doing a great job right now.
Yeah. So just to put things in a more in a different perspective, because it seems you two gentlemen are passionate about AI and very much pro AI. There are persons who, there have been many conversations, and we've had conversations like this on the show before, where we spoke about the disadvantages of AI and how many students also the working class, take advantage or probably, how to put it, they don't use AI in the right ways.
Yes.
And it could mess up your critical thinking. Yes. You become too dependent on the use of these chatbots or these agents, and not really depend on your own thoughts and your own process of thinking about situations, problem solving, etc. What do you all have to say about that?
From a business point of view, and I will then switch to Modaldo from the educational point of view. From a business point of view, we have a tremendous opportunity around the globe, and also in Trinidad and Tobago. Just to mention, in the oil gas industry in this country. Can you imagine that all those energy plants using artificial intelligence model can predict when equipment is going to fail? And before that happens, make the correction to avoid that. Just move to the banking sector. Just, can you imagine, because you know, hackers are around the corner, can you imagine that artificial intelligence model can predict when a transaction is suspicious or could be a fraud before that happens? That's the kind of way that artificial intelligence is changing the way business are doing the thing. And that is why Professor Modaldo mentioned how key important is the education, not just for the business point of view, but also for the university point of view.
We handle clients and people in 30 countries, in 4 different languages, in 3 time zones. And we have seen something very unique in many places. Many are in a state of paralysis. They believe that this is going to affect me. This is not going to be part of my problem right now. That I shouldn't worry about this. And this is a big mistake to react like this. The most important message that I can give to anyone is that since the arrival of artificial intelligence 60 years ago, not 3 years ago when the chatbots started being very popular, what they're doing is they pay attention to whatever they collect. All the data they collect, they pay attention to this. And that is my #1 recommendation to any person. Pay attention to your attention. How you attend your business, your personal things, your business things. Pay attention to your attention.
So, and you would have mentioned, you know, some of the positives about AI in business, Mr. Ayala, and how AI is used to, you know, see things before it happens that we may not necessarily notice in different transactions, etc. So apart from that, what other unique opportunities does AI present for economic growth and social development? And in Central America, yes, but let's say if we extend it to other parts of the world.
That's a very good question also. The impact of artificial intelligence in all the CARICOM, including here in Trinidad and Tobago, is tremendous. Yeah. Because just can't imagine that a specific process before using artificial intelligence model could take 24 hours. And when using an artificial intelligence model, that could be performed maybe in 25 minutes. That huge amount of time is efficiency. And that efficiency is the way that, from an economic point of view, organizations have to maybe increase revenues or have more resources to expand to another plans or professionals, or even have additional agencies. The way that artificial intelligence is doing the things right now, it's tremendous. And I would say that the question is not necessarily about if we should or not adapt artificial intelligence in our business, because there's no doubt that we need to do it. The question is how we can protect and continue using artificial intelligence in benefits of organizations for the reason that you mentioned at the beginning of the interview. Because believe it or not, outside there are pretty good people trying to use in a pretty good way artificial intelligence, but in the same way, there are bad people that are trying to get advantage of that same techniques to make bad things to organization.
Yes. As he said, we are moving in this direction. We are telling everyone, students, housewives, business executives, that this is here. This is going to be with us. LinkedIn conducted a survey of about 15,000 job offerings, and they found out that the #1 requirement in most of these offerings was the need to have analytical thinking skills. This is #1. More than critical thinking, now is about analytics. So I recommend everyone, make a plan and try to get skills in system thinking, in analytical thinking, in critical thinking. After that, move to mathematical thinking. Because again, since Isaac Newton, when he understood gravity, he converted gravity to numbers. Albert Einstein, he converted relativity to numbers. Now what we have done is we've taken knowledge and we have converted knowledge to numbers. So we don't use letters anymore. That's why I said before, move from being illiterate to enumerate. It is important to understand that with numbers you can achieve a lot more than with just letters. It's a matter of changing the way you make decisions.
And just to add to Modaldo, when we refer business, it's not just the private one, because government also have a tremendous opportunity to improve what they are doing using artificial intelligence. Just can't imagine all the services of most government agencies from time to time takes days or even weeks for the citizen waiting, where artificial intelligence in the government sector also can improve efficiency and be faster than previously. So when we refer the important and the tremendous impact of artificial intelligence also include the government sector. Just can't imagine in education. Today, there are some very documented examples in Africa where colleges are using artificial intelligence digital coach for students because they don't have enough teachers in the school. Can you imagine that? The impact that can do is tremendous.
Yes.
Yeah. One more thing that I would like to say is we have studied thoroughly what is happening in many countries. And what we notice is that those who are advancing very fast are those that have already promotion and a responsible use of artificial intelligence plan. Countries like, for example, China, Singapore, Vietnam, Serbia, they all already have in motion many tactical activities and programs to promote artificial intelligence in elementary schools, in high schools, in universities, in small business. So they are moving very fast. Saudi Arabia has a program for 5,000 small business. Serbia, the same. You can find this in Singapore. Singapore is promoting this among their people very fast. So this is one of the things we have to do. We have to understand that there is no more time to wait unless you want to be part of the paralysis. It's very nice to be in your comfort zone. And this is my second recommendation. Live as far as you can from your comfort zone.
That's interesting. I like that. So we usually have a quote at the end of the show, and I think that might be the quote of the day. I'll keep a note of that. But I want to ask, on the other hand, so you would have mentioned just now these countries that have already begun to push AI with various plans, things that are working for them. So what do you believe are some of the challenges that we face in the region and Central America that is holding us back from benefiting from AI? So whether it be infrastructural, ethical, or an educational issue, what do you think that problem is that we have not yet gotten that push towards like a full shot at artificial intelligence?
Yeah, again, very good. I like that question again. There are many reasons, many. One of them is that many companies don't have their processes in order. And if you're going to, and many people look at the traditional way of developing computer systems, task-centric. Now the push is to process-oriented information systems. So it's not more about data, it's about process. So if your process is in order, you are going to incorporate artificial intelligence programs in a better way. If you, as I said before, it's a thing of people, process, and technology. So you have to worry about that your people have to be highly trained in these matters. You have to have the infrastructure, and you need the proper technology in order to handle all of this. The Massachusetts Institute of Technology, the #1 university in the world, they published about 2 months ago a report where they found out that 95% of artificial intelligence projects are not generating new value, are not succeeding. 95%. So they are not generating new value. So why? The reasons are manifold. One of them, you don't have your people well trained. You don't articulate it properly, the problem. Even the way you present your problem, when you're a business executive and you're going to present a problem, you have to be more structured, more detailed. You have to identify your data sets very well. You have to understand data very well. Data engineering has become very important for anyone, more than just data scientists. And you have to have a methodology. You have to do this through methodologies. And what we have found is that many companies and many schools don't have clear methodologies to promote technologies. No matter what, you need methodologies in order to be successful.
Just let me to add to what Modaldo said is when you look for why some artificial intelligence fail, in addition to not necessarily define a pretty good scope, is in connection with data. Because as you know, most of the artificial intelligence models need data to make the reasoning, the thinking, and make prediction. Yes. And believe it or not, most organizations, and believe me what I'm going to tell you, is that most organizations have data for their own system. But that not necessarily means that that data have integrity. When I said integrity, is that data does not include biases, does not include fields that are not filled out. And when you start to think on that, people believe in an organization that the data that they have is pretty good enough to start artificial intelligence process. And that's not necessarily always true.
Can't AI have its own biases based on how it learns from whatever system it's on, whoever's using it?
Yes. There are many biases. One of them is called colonialism. For example, these chatbots have been developed in Western countries like Europe or United States, but they usually don't handle the culture of other countries.
Yeah.
There's a very interesting finding in India where they discover that many of their executives were using chatbot in a way, and chatbots and they react and give you information, not necessarily the way they think and their culture is used in their businesses. So now we are adjusting. So many of these major corporations are adjusting these chatbots in order to understand that they have to be democratized and be used properly in every culture.
In terms of, so having AI easily accessible in various economies, especially in the region, CARICOM, Central America, how can governments and private sectors, create a balance to approach AI adoption in the most seamless way possible?
What many countries are doing is they're promoting something called a government, private sector, society. And you go to Colombia, you go to Canada, United States, Singapore, they have these commissions formed among the three. It's very important to promote. And the best way to promote innovation is when you have this start of triple helix. That's what they call it, a triple helix. Government, society, and business together working. It is very important today, more than ever before, to understand that your triple helix has to work. Yeah. Now needs to work.
Yes, and I mean, I would see that the government has to see the need for artificial intelligence to ensure that the economy has the right flow.
When you see other latitudes and other countries and other governments, one of the successful governments that have started using artificial intelligence is because first they believe in training at the university level, but also they understand that they have to create some kind of artificial intelligence roadmap. Without a roadmap of how to use artificial intelligence in the government, it's going to be more difficult to do anything. Yes. And one of the things that we had seen is that in some governments, they start to see what is doing China. They start to see what is Singapore is doing, and on any country in Asia, Vietnam, which is a very tremendous country where they're using artificial intelligence, and they try to adapt identically what they are doing. But hold on a second. We are in a Central America and Caribbean. We are quite different. We are different culture. We have different needs. We have different resources. We need to adapt that roadmap in those countries and how to implement in ours, including, of course, Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes. There's a fear that many people have that AI will replace jobs, right, and replace them in various positions, but then others say it will create new ones. So that is a debate that we see happening or coming up a lot. But what's your take on how the job market will shift, let's say in the next decade, if in the region we adopt this AI, the AI technology in our everyday lives, in our businesses, in schools? I know one of the things you said was, training our students to use AI, understand AI, get the, there was a term you used, not critical thinking, but analytical thinking. So with that, how do you think the job market will shift in the next decade?
Oh, it's going to shift very fast, very, very fast. It's already happening in many countries. And you need, in order to adjust, to have, as Mr. Ayala just said, that you need a very good roadmap about how to implement your ideas. And this is what we are promoting right now in the area. As I said before, we handle 30 countries in Central America and CARICOM in 4 different languages, in 3 time zones, and we are moving all over the area. We can be in 2 weeks in another country in the region, and we are also conducting surveys. We conduct surveys in risk, in artificial intelligence, in cybersecurity, in order to understand what people are doing. And again, we are moving a bit slow. We are still in a state of paralysis. We believe in some companies and corporations that this is not going to affect me yet, because they are using intuition, they are using experience, they are using common sense, and that's not enough nowadays.
It's almost like it's not proactive,
yes,
in a sense.
Yes.
Yes, I think that's another important quote for this conversation is from a losing jobs point of view, is that professional make sure that artificial intelligence is not going to take your jobs. Another professional with artificial intelligence knowledge is going to take your jobs. You see the difference? That's precisely what Modalo has been saying. You have to train,
yes,
and then start to use an artificial intelligence, and that's the message.
Yeah, because I think we have to know what we want out of artificial intelligence. Yes. Because recently I've started seeing a lot of AI videos coming out of that looks extremely realistic, of these human figures reporting news, doing interviews, and it's like, that looks like a real human, but it's not. And these are things that people look at and say, oh, AI is scary, I don't want AI anywhere near me, you know. And again, there's good and bad, you know, and it's something that, like you said, we do have to get the education and training to better understand the do's and don'ts, because I think with anything that we do, there are do's and don'ts.
Yes.
And there are things to stay away from and things that we can embrace or accept.
Yes.
So
that is true, and that's way when we have been helping some organization in the CARICOM and also in Central America, we have been seeing is that organization, they talk about a lot of artificial intelligence initiative. They don't do nothing. But when they start to do anything, they try to make some kind of thing like connect to universe. Start with a small, high impact project in the organization to see how you can obtain benefit on that. And then start to move to another project. You cannot move overnight from nothing to everything. That's another challenge that we have seen in the area.
In the area, yes.
yes, yeah. And in terms of, you know, transparency in education and business, because professor in the university, do you get students who, let's say, you know, use AI to cheat? So how do you all deal with that in terms of, you know, again, the transparency, the responsible use of AI?
Just to give an example, recently I gave an exam online to my students, and the lowest grade from 51 to 100 was 93. So basically everybody passed with outstanding grades. In the next week, I gave them the same exam, but written on paper,
yes,
and the highest grade was 74. So we know what's happening, and they're going to be using it, and but we have to teach them to use it in a proper way. So
yes,
it is part of, everyone has to unskill, reskill, and upskill, everybody.
yes.
So make sure that your plan incorporates reasoning, logic, math. The Great Britain has a very interesting program called Math to 18. So they want to make sure that everyone, when reaches 18 years old, is mathematical prone in order to have more opportunities to find jobs.
Yes.
And in business, it's not just a student cheating. I cannot say the name of that Big 4 consultant firm, But if you read the news a few weeks ago, one big consultant firm has said that they provide a report to a government institution using some of the ChatGPT or Claude software. And when the government started to read, they said, this is a ChatGPT.
Yes.
How you are...
I think you can always tell when something is from ChatGPT. The wording is, I mean, AI is consistent. If it's one thing AI is, it's consistent with their wording. But with the business side of it, there's sensitive areas like data management and decision making. That transparency when it comes to AI, so the example you just gave, how would, in the business aspect, how would you overcome something like that? How would you deal with it then? And, you know, allow your company to be transparent with clients when it comes to data management, etc.?
That's a good question. And when we refer training, it's not just in mathematics or calculus. We also refer to ethics of artificial intelligence, and that is hugely important because if we don't provide training on ethics on artificial intelligence from a business point of view, that's kind of thing that we mentioned is going to continue to happen. So that is key. That is key, and also they have many examples of how these big technology company using artificial intelligence had started to use your personal data for a purpose that they never told you. So another important thing is that organizations have to, in terms of transparency, they have to make sure that they will comply with any data privacy regulation, locally or globally, because otherwise people is going to be affected. And I think from an educational point of view should be the same, right?
So before we have to wrap, looking ahead, I want to ask, how do you envision the role of AI shaping Central America and the CARICOM region on a global competitive scale? Let's say over the next 10 to 20 years, you know, do you think that we will get to where we need to be in time?
Well, that's a tough one. Let's say at the moment, other countries are moving faster than we are moving right now. There is an artificial intelligence competitiveness index, and we are not on top 50 countries, none of us, as a matter of fact. And many of the new computer programs called algorithms are developed in the United States, Europe, and China, basically. So we have to be aware of this. But on the other hand, we have to develop also our own technologies. The CARICOM area, especially Trinidad and Tobago, they have outstanding universities, and they are moving in the right directions. You know, they are aware of this. We have been in touch with them, and we know that you have excellent people, well-trained professors that are aware of what's happening, and they are coming up with a plan. And I believe in the next 12 to 24 months, we're going to see interesting changes in Central America and the CARICOM area.
Just to add to what Modaldo said in connection with your question, is that I would say that not necessarily we need to move as faster as China, Japan, Europe, or they are moving.
Yes.
No, never. We cannot move at that velocity. But the important key is not if they move faster. The key message is that we in CARICOM and in Central America, we need to start to move at least.
Yes.
Because if we don't move, the history is totally different.
Yes. So, I mean, you'll believe right now we're not moving as much as we should then.
Yes. That's why I said at the beginning of the interview that we find many countries in a state of paralysis.
Yeah.
And that's what we're promoting. Try to move, have a roadmap, and establish your immediate goals. and for the benefit of the people and your corporations.
Yes. What is one thing that we can do right now to just get us to start moving? What is?
As I said before, triple helix. Right. The commission among the three, society, government, and industry, it is very important. Yeah. This is one of the reasons why Finland and Vietnam and Singapore are very successful. And countries in Africa and Saudi Arabia, for example, are also implementing triple helix successfully in their countries. So this triple helix is very important.
Yes. When I mentioned, when Modaldo said triple helix, just again, and just to make sure that you are crystal clear on that, we are not just referring for business, private, also include government, which is precisely areas where more needs need to be filled out.
Yes. So before we close, I just want to just wrap up the conversation completely and get a clear understanding of the purpose that you two gentlemen have decided to come and talk about this. You're advocating for something that you believe is very important. Just give us a quick summary or overview of your purpose for being here and discussing AI and the importance of AI in businesses and economy.
There are several objectives. The first one is to understand that now people, process, and technology have to work together better than ever before. That we are here to help governments to understand how to implement artificial intelligence programs. Corporations that need to understand that their people, their processes, and all these new technologies need to collaborate in a proper way using methodologies. Everybody is pointing at productivity and efficiency, and this is part of the business. Otherwise, your competition is going to be better than you. So this is what we are promoting right now. We are promoting at the educational level the need to have a plan to incorporate mathematical skills into your daily lives. People need to unskill, reskill, and upskill and have a plan. And corporations need to understand that it's not a matter of only tools, it's a matter of how your people understand. What we have seen is that in some corporations, they handle technology like black boxes. They don't know what they're doing. You don't need to understand, in some occasions, black boxes. You need to understand crystal boxes. You need to know inside what's happening inside of that technology in order to
Have you all started doing that at the technological university?
Yes, we have already a plan for that, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And just to add what Modaldo said, we at RISCO, we had not been doing this this month. We have been helping largest organization here in the island since last year in training on how to adapt artificial intelligence to make more productive and efficiency areas.
Right. Okay. So, gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the program, joining me to have this discussion. And I do wish you all the best moving forward as you continue to promote and talk about it. These are conversations that we have to continue shedding light on the importance of it. And I hope people listen because I'm right there. I'm on board. I think artificial intelligence is very, very important. And it's coming whether we like it or not. It's here. We always say that it's here, and it's something that we have to adapt to. Yeah.
No, thank you to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity.
Of course. All right, guys, so we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we have another conversation lined up for you, so stay with me. We'll be right back.
SM Group International Limited, your solutions partner for the latest innovations, brands, and competent staff to meet your needs. We provide products and services in the following divisions: executive services, event rental and services, power and heavy equipment, construction and property management, food and beverage, aggregate and sales and distribution. Check out more on our products and services at www.smgrouptt.com. Contact us at 221-7445 or email at info@smgrouptt.com. We are SM Group International, your solutions partner. FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
Feeling drained? Struggling to keep up? It's time to take control of your wellness. On this episode of Wellness Unlocked, we're diving into the key nutrients your body needs for all-day energy and balance. With 100% or more of your daily essential vitamins, plus added chromium to support healthy blood sugar, this is complete wellness in a single soft gel. Join us as we uncover how small changes can make a big impact on your health. Don't miss Wellness Unlocked. Watch now on WESN and take the first step toward better health.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
Bill and Ruth fell in love with the Benjamin Moore color Dry Sage, but they tried to match it using another brand's paint.
I mean, it's close enough.
Almost identical, really. Yeah, there it is.
Never trust another paint to be a Benjamin Moore color.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, The Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378, or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
My name is Dr. Joanne Williams Carroll, and I am the Director of Behavioral and Mental Health at the Community Hospital. At the Community Hospital, we believe in nurturing mind, body, and soul. Through our counseling and chaplaincy program, we will provide you with support and strength you need to help with your mental and emotional well-being. Give us a call.
The Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist,
where good private health care is affordable.
Money is something we all deal with, but how many of us truly understand it? What if you could make better decisions with your money? Decisions that secure your future, protect your family, and bring you peace of mind. I'm Darren Jacobs, and I'm here to help you make sense of your dollars. Welcome to Dollars and Cents, the show that breaks down the financial world in ways that matter to you. No jargon, no confusion, just real conversations about money, your money. So join me every Wednesday at 10 a.m. on WESN for Dollars and Cents.
You are watching Strictly Legal on WESN Content Capital. Just give an overview of what exactly is that split arrangement.
In this, now you don't need to register nothing. You don't need. We can do that another time. But then it becomes a hit, and then everybody starts to want to claim.
The laws that predate many of the independent countries' constitutions are going to be those colonial laws.
We know there are an infinite amount of circumstances that would lead to a murder.
I have a great idea and I have a great concept, but until it's actually expressed, it does not become intellectual property.
Accomplishments or targets of a forensic accountant is to quantify what may have been lost.
We believe we defend criminals and we manipulated the law and we exploited the system.
A responsible journalist will reach out to the person who they have the information on for a comment.
This is Face of Sports, WESN Content Capital. How you felt about the kiss on the lip?
That's the business. I'm nothing to do with that.
I find that was distasteful.
The national senior team, whether you like it or not, that is the model for all other teams to follow.
I'm assuming that the regional requirement may be a much stricter requirement.
This is not about Pro League and Super League. This is a league run by the Normalization Committee that I'm responsible for.
Nobody expected FIFA to fund this arrangement.
If we don't get a professional attitude towards this, we are doomed for failure.
You break the balance, trip the leg, control the body.
They ain't gonna stand put forever.
Why you want the Chiefs to lose so? Why you want the Chiefs to lose so?
They already have two. Lamar
Why? You're jealous because you know the Chiefs getting closer to the Patriots. Let's go to the last part.
No.
Let's go to the last part.
The home of Caribbean content is growing, and we welcome you to be a part of the #1 platform for young personalities who are driven to make a positive impact in society. As we continue to reach every corner of Trinidad and Tobago through our daily broadcasts, our social media pages, or through our 75+ digital billboards across the nation, contact us to learn about our competitive rates via marketing at wesncc.com or call us at 628-5835. WESN Content Capital, television with a difference.
Remember waking up early just to catch your favorite cartoons? WESN brings back those magical mornings with Retro Saturdays.
Thus, the Powerpuff Girls were born!
Where the young at heart relive the fun. Join us every Saturday from 8 a.m. to 12 noon, only on WESN, the content capital.
The Caribbean has some of the highest rates of overweight and obesity in the Americas.
Parents are usually meticulous about what goes into their children's mouths from 0 to 1 year. But then something happens after 1 year when we say to them, eat from the family pot. Right. Somehow the family pot extends to snacks, both sugary and salty, soft drinks, and candies of all descriptions.
Every day, we communicate through stories. Stories of ourselves, our challenges, our goals, our experiences, and our aspirations. Storytelling is an art that we have mastered. WESN Film Studios comprises a collaborative team of experts with extensive industry experience locally, regionally, and internationally. The ability of your business to successfully communicate with your preferred audience depends on the strength of the stories you tell. Your vision should be communicated in a high-quality, professional, and creative way. concept to post-production, advertising to film, multi-camera productions, live events, streaming, and virtual conferencing. We are WESN Film Studio. Let your own unique voice be heard and your vision realized. Call us today at 628-5835 for your next production.
Welcome back to AM Prime this morning. So jumping into our next conversation, September was observed as Physical Therapy Month. Specifically, September 8th was observed as World Physical Therapy Day. So this is a conversation that I've been wanting to have about, talking about how the importance of physical therapy, its key roles in restoring strength, mobility, and confidence in patients recovering from illnesses, various illnesses. I also wanted to tie in how can physical therapy help in breast cancer recovery, as October is a month observed as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So joining me on the program this morning is Dr. Terry Romero from the Physical Therapy Associates. To help us understand the true impact of physiotherapy. Good morning, Dr. Romero. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Naomi. Thank you for having me on your program.
Yes.
And welcome. Physical Therapy Day was in September.
Yes.
On the 8th of September, and that we celebrated for the month internationally World Physical Therapy Day, where countries around the world supported physical therapy, and there would have been programs and so for physical therapy from different clinics.
Right. So to start off, for viewers who may not fully understand or may not fully know exactly what is physiotherapy and why is it such an important part of healthcare?
Okay, so you may hear interchangeably use physical therapy or physiotherapy.
Yes.
And basically, physiotherapy is considered, if you want to say medically, from the tertiary part of medicine, which is the third level of medicine, which is rehabilitation. So if you're actually looking for a physical therapy department in the clinic, in the hospital itself, you will find it in the Department of Rehabilitation. However, physical therapists function out of outpatient clinics like Physical Therapy Associates. They function in nursing homes. They also function in hospitals. And with regard to healthcare, it's very important that any diagnosis or disability or disease entity that affects the patient performance, the ability to move, whether it is as a result of pain, whether it's a result of limitation of their joints through, whether it's arthritis, stroke, or any disease entity that affects your function, the physical therapist is required and takes part and helps with the rehabilitation of that patient. And the goal is to get those patients functioning to their maximum functional level.
Right. So there's still a common perception that physiotherapy or physical therapy is mostly about sports and massages. What are some of the other biggest misconceptions that you encounter about physical therapy?
Well, sports physical therapy or under sports medicine is just one part of this broader picture. If you consider take everything together, you have young people, you have babies, you have sport people, you have people in sport, you have the elderly, and all the rest in between. So, for example, physical therapists work very, very closely in pediatrics. They are babies are born with inability to move or cerebral palsy. The lay public would know about cerebral palsy. It affects the baby's growth and development. Physical therapists are very important in that role to help them move and thrive. With of course, sports we know about sports therapy, but then you have the elderly, where as you age, you begin to lose muscle mass. So as you get older, there are many different types of exercises that people are doing, but as you get older, you need specific type of exercise.
Yeah.
You lose muscle mass, so you want to do weights and weight training.
Right. So when it comes to, like what you just said, sorry, for the elderly, as you get older, you lose muscle mass, so you do certain exercises and training to build or to continue to build your muscles and, get your bones active, etc. So can physical therapy be used as something preventative rather than rehabilitation? So let's say, is it not just for rehabilitation, but it also for preventative measures?
Well, I like your question because that is our concern, because physical therapists continue to work in prevention. For example, there's a lot of education going on when we evaluate our patients. Now, the evaluation of patients, whether they're sport, whether they're babies or the elderly, let's take the elderly, for example, it's comprehensive. Or let's take the regular person that comes in. They may have a wrist problem, they may have an ankle problem. When a person comes into a clinic, we do not see a knee or an ankle, we see an entire person. And our evaluations are comprehensive. So we would ask questions like, when last did you see your doctor? When last did you see your GP? When we take a blood pressure, we would see sometimes high blood pressure. The reading, a high reading. Sometimes the patients don't know. Sometimes they know they're on medication. We ask questions, they're not taking their medications regularly, only when the pressure is up. When the pressure is up, they take it. When the pressure is down, they don't. And so it is incumbent upon us to provide that knowledge that regarding their health and well-being. Some people may not have had a medical checkup in 3-4 years because they came because they had fallen and had a wrist fracture. We would indicate that we need them to see the doctor. We have other examples. A patient may be coming in for a neck problem, and when we evaluate, when we ask all questions, we see that that patient might have, they sit all day at the computer. And when you ask about the position of their position at the computer, you realize that they're too high or too low. Physical therapists will provide the guidance and the information as to how to fix their workstation. And sometimes we have to come in and do a complete overhaul of the workstation. And interestingly, the pains go away. If it's not handled, that will turn into something that is chronic and persistent and costly.
So when we look at what physical therapy does for a person, let's say a person who is recovering from an injury and they've had severe pain, would the physical therapy exercises remove that pain, so you know that the person is better when there's no longer any pain in the area that initially had discomfort?
Another good question, because we do, many people come as a result, as again, it's not, things are not settling, pain is constant.
Right.
So we deal a lot with pain. The exercises are targeted specifically towards that client and what their diagnosis or problem is. So will the pain, the question is, will the pain be relieved by the exercises? Pain is not just a tissue-related situation. It is all-encompassing. You have to really evaluate that patient holistically. As I gave the example previously, you may do some exercises and there's a relief depending on where the pain is, or if the pain is in a joint and because it's tight, then with the movement, and we have tools that we use. We use our own hands-on techniques. We can use heat or cold just as adjuncts. We might use some light tissue mobilization, but we also have to look at the patient's lifestyle, where of their maybe sitting too long, standing too long. So we just don't only look at the tissue level. Again, we say to handle their pain, we look at the whole situation. They may get relief while we do our techniques, but when they go home, what do they do? How do they sit? So we really are very investigative in our treatment.
So that each exercise is tailored specifically to that client and their lifestyle. Yeah. So
and there is an ongoing interaction between the patient and the therapist.
Throughout, as in from the moment that they step into your office or to the process, then even when they're better.
Well, yes.
Do the exercises
because,
continue even after?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because I from the time a patient enters into the clinic, the therapist, it's just a way we begin to assess them. Our background requires that we know every muscle in the body, how it works, and every nerve that impacts. So a patient may come in for one thing, and then we see a lot of other things. For example, there's so many examples. And going back a little bit to the preventive side, in our assessing of our patient and looking at the patient's body and movement, for example, we might look at the patient's skin, because we have to look at that when we're evaluating. And we might see a mole, let's assume a mole where a patient may not be aware that they have a mole. Or they might be aware, you ask them, they might say it's a small mole, yes, it's right there. And when you look at it, you tell them, no, that's not a small mole. It's big, and the patient, you show them with a mirror, and they said, oh my God, this thing has grown. That is a red flag. It could be the beginning of skin cancer. We've had patients that come in with severe unrelenting pain. It is atypical. It doesn't seem to relate to the diagnosis. And when we send them back, because it's a red flag to be checked, multiple myeloma, another form of cancer. So from the prevention side, therapists are doing a lot because of the number and the length of time patients are with us.
Right. So we've established that physical therapy or physiotherapy can help persons from athletes to the elderly. Could you share some of the main conditions or situations where you would see physiotherapy making a real difference or working in the best way that it possibly can?
I think almost every activity. Okay, for example, in the hospital, yes, that is a given. But let's talk about the public on the outside and our patient clinics. When a patient comes into your clinic, they may come, as I said, for one situation, one problem, one diagnosis. But because of the comprehensive approach, the therapist picks up other problems. So in that regard, the work of the therapist becomes not just treating the shoulder, but probably treating the back, because the patient also indicates, and as the patient walks, you may see that the patient may be twisting to one side or limping, but they did not come in with that complaint because they might have fallen and have a fracture there. So it is multifaceted, and there's a large psychological component involved in working with patients with any form of disability. So for example, let's say the musculoskeletal system, you have patients that come in with back pain. That's a biggie. It is statistics that is statistically, back pain is the most common for the layperson ailment that people have and keep people away from work as well. So you have musculoskeletal problems, you have arthritis, there's surgeries for total knees, total hips. Then you have stroke patients. That is a different type of movement treatment that you'll be doing with patients because it's neurologic. It's coming from the what has happened into the brain, and as the brain relates to the rest of the body is abnormal. So the type of movement and therapy that you would do with a patient with a stroke would be far different than one you will do who might have had arthritis or might have had a fracture. So in that regard, and strokes, fractures, arthritis is not only the elderly. We have diagnoses of even juvenile arthritis.
Yeah.
So in the pediatric realm, the physical therapist works. In the across the board in the population, the physical therapist is there. In the elderly, the physical therapist is there. So we treat everyone. Anything that affects a person from being able to function normally requires physical therapy intervention.
Yeah. So there's something I was curious about when it comes to joint pain, right? I think joint pain is something, I know joint pain is something you can get from arthritis as well, but also a sickle cell disease, right? Can physiotherapy actually help with the pain that persons feel who struggle with sickle cell?
Oh, you're asking about, well, we got cut off a little bit.
Sorry.
Yes, so with arthritis, you will find that is very straightforward, as everybody knows.
Yes.
With sickle cell, because of the nature of the disease and the sickling of the cells, you will have changes within the joint. If the blood flow is not smooth.
Yes.
But so the therapists do work with sickle cell patients, but you have to know you can't treat a sickle cell patient in the same manner that you would treat a patient with arthritis. For example, you're not going to hold on a sickle cell person. It's very difficult. They don't respond well.
Yeah.
Because you're actually causing the circulation you're compromising the circulation, you're causing the blood vessels to constrict. So the therapist must know all these different diagnoses, how to work and what treatment approach to use.
When we look at cost and access, these are often mentioned as barriers to care, especially to rehabilitation. It is something that can be very costly. And from your experience, what steps do you think that could help make physiotherapy more accessible, more available, and better understood among the general public, that regardless of its high cost, the fact that it is worth it, the fact that it is something that, it helps, not just in rehabilitation, but preventative measures. What is your take on that?
Well, that also is a very good, because it's a misconception as well.
Okay.
That because it is costly, I can't come for therapy. And that is untrue. I always like to present to the clients I call it the continuum, that line where you have, I use the athlete there, or on that line, who has a coach. And that coach is carrying him. With that coach, he's not going to make it to the Olympics. Far less get the gold medal. So he needs a coach. He might have talent, but he needs a coach.
Yes.
On the other side is physical, is the continuum, is the therapist and the client or the patient with the disability. Now, if you look at sports, there's a lot of repetition. In the same way, with physical therapy, if a patient cannot come, let's say twice a week, because we're using the musculoskeletal system, we're doing exercises, we're doing flexibility, we're doing balance. What we do is we feed you small morsels and you repeat.
Right.
So it's like a ladder, one rung at a time. And what you do at home will matter. In the same way, though, we also have to understand when we work with a patient, if this is difficult for them financially, how we work with them and what exercises we're going to give them at home. We make it simple and ask them to repeat.
Right.
If it is that the patient, do they have support? Do you have family support? So that is where we have the counseling with the family so that they can understand, don't push this person. We also have to understand, in a way, the mindset of our clients. They're a whole being. And they share with us so much because they're with us for so long. So these are all the factors that have to be taken into consideration when dealing with patients.
Yes. So staying under the same topic of cost and access, there are persons who, and I've heard this many times. Yeah, I thought I lost you there. Can you hear me?
I lost you too, okay. But we're back on. Back on.
So I've heard this many times from various people that, why waste money on physical therapy or on a physiotherapist when I can do exercises at home? I just have to, whether it's, rotate my hip or move my arms, do exercises.
Or go to Dr. Google.
Yeah, or just go for a walk. Or
go to Dr. Google.
Or Google, exactly. Or find a video on YouTube as to how to move my joints or, for a certain type of pain. But what is the real danger in persons doing that? Because I think I can understand that if you can very much injure yourself trying to do physical therapy than if you actually, for what its purpose is for.
One size. We have a term for that. One size does not fit all.
Right.
And as I explained previously, some people would say, well, my dad had a stroke and he's walking, and so we're doing exercises with him. And I'll use the stroke as an example, but it's relevant to the other complaints, whether it's a shoulder injury or wrist injury, etc. There are different types of muscle movement. So with a stroke, a patient may walk, but when the patient is in therapy, we want them to walk as hand movements we're going to put on touching the patient to get a response. We're putting a stimulus to get a response as that patient walks. When you put that patient on regular exercises, what you're doing is strengthening the abnormal movement, if you don't know. So that patient is getting stronger and getting stiffer because the brain is sending a message of, okay, this is how I can move, this is how I will move, and you're reinforcing it instead of preventing it. So you have to know what you're doing because you can hurt yourself. And we've seen it. We've seen people, sometimes, you go out to take a walk in the savannah and you see some 2-and-something pound people jumping on one leg.
Yes.
Why are you going to do that? Or lifting, it's unnecessary, and it is also traumatic to the joints. So yes, you have to know what you're doing.
Yes.
We're physical therapists. We don't coach athletes unless we're trained for the athletes.
Exactly.
We're not a coach, so that, but because of the nature.
The same example that you gave, with the, if as an athlete, if you train yourself, well, you may not make it as far as somebody who's training with a coach. So
right.
I think the same
principle.
applies. Yeah. I like that analogy. Yeah. Definitely put things in perspective. So I wanted to, because I want to get into the, physiotherapy and breast cancer topic, but before that, I want to ask the differentiation between a physical therapist and a chiropractor. I think, I know they're different, but there's some sort of similarity there. Or is it that a chiropractor can also do things that a physical therapist can, or are they just completely different?
Right. Now, chiropractors have a very valid place in the healthcare providing healthcare. Yes, and you will notice they work a lot more with sports
Yes.
and with the musculoskeletal system. However, as I go back to the umbrella approach with the physical therapist, the psychosocial aspect of the physical therapist, the physical therapist working with the babies, yes, with sports, but with the elderly. The physical therapist provides a holistic approach. Even though there are some manipulation or joint mobilization or joint manipulation, like what chiropractors do, they do a lot of manipulation.
Right.
Some therapists do it, but that's not, even though they might have that skill, they don't stay there because they are trained to evaluate, assess the entire person, and also dealing with the entire, all the systems, like a systems review on that patient. So that even though you're dealing with the musculoskeletal side, patients coming with a musculoskeletal problem, we are watching that patient, and many times we realize that there is something else going on underneath. So although they don't really overlap, but chiropractors do have a role, but although it may seem to be similar, the therapist carries the patient from the beginning to the end, holding hands and doing all what's necessary. Excuse me, sir.
That's all right. All right. So now to get into the part that I was most interested in, could you explain what the recovery process might be for, or what the recovery process might involve for physiotherapists and the role that they play in supporting breast cancer survivors, or that rehabilitation process of a breast cancer survivor?
So the therapist is really part of the team. Once a person would have had a lumpectomy, that's removal of the lump in the breast, or a mastectomy, that is removal of the entire breast. Because of the surgery, you are going to get pain there. You're going to have a scar formation. You will have, it's possible, you can also have neck and shoulder pain. And some patients can also have swelling of the arm because of the lymph nodes that have been removed. And the lymph nodes are really, the lymphatic system is really what carries back the tissue, it's the fluid back up towards it's absorbed, allows the fluid to be absorbed into the system. So what the physical therapist will look at is that person's pain level, work with that. Because there will be pain and stiffness and reaction of the muscles to the surgery, you will have to handle that patient very carefully, but using your therapeutic techniques to get that movement without unnecessary pain. You would also want to take a look at the arm. The patient may need compressive garments. So you'll have to recommend, some therapists do measurements and provide compressive garments if there's swelling. Compressive garments are also used prophylactically, just in the case, even though there's no swelling initially, the advice is to start using the type of bra that you would use, even if it's a lumpectomy, how you would, so that it holds you in a way that there's no pressure over the scar.
Right.
So with regard to breast cancer, we're not only dealing with the patient at a tissue level, we are very involved with the patient from the psychological perspective. As you know, breast cancer or any type of cancer is very stressful. Patients are very afraid So counseling is important. They may have pain, and the pain might just be because of the surgery, but it's not uncommon for patients to worry that that pain might have something to do with the actual cancer itself.
Yes.
So knowing what you're doing, knowing, having the training to, from the psychosocial approach handling the patient, the therapist is able to hold the patient's hand through this time. And it takes about 5 years before, not 5 years in therapy necessarily, not 5 years in therapy, but 5 years before you're considered in remission.
Yeah.
So you understand how stressful it could be for a cancer patient.
Of course.
So you have to have a lot of empathy.
Of course. So I wanted to touch on that and just expand on it a bit more. You mentioned just now and then previously that the psychological benefits of physiotherapy, and I also want to look at the emotional benefits of it. So the psychological and emotional benefits of physiotherapy, and in what ways exactly does physical therapy give patients that comfort or the benefits of the emotional aspects of recovering or any sort of
is the if you ask a question about chiropractors and physical therapists, okay, this is where we go. The physical therapist, not only because of her training, but because she spends so much time with the patients.
Yes.
The number of weeks she's seeing the patients, depending on the diagnosis.
There's a relationship that's a bond.
That is yes.
Yeah.
And I love this question because this weekend I just came out of a phenomenal seminar. We see exactly where the physical therapist has now probably jumped 3 rungs of the ladder because of the approach now to treatment. Even though we would do counseling, even though we are aware of the psychological side, the approach now that has being presented for the physical therapist is it's patient-centered care. Participation of the patient and the therapist, having the patient have a say in their treatment. Asking them, what do you think of this? How do you feel about this? Being more concerned about how the patient's well-being, where they live, how they work, and bringing in the activities to relate to that patient. Even as a therapist, checking your own self to see what biases you might have, and to remove those biases when you treat with patients, because you're seeing a range of people, and we are all human beings, and we have our little biases. So also watching at yourself as you treat with patients.
Right.
So this is a new, it is just put in the psychosocial approach to physical therapy, which is future. It's not futuristic. It's now.
Yes.
But it is it's carrying the therapist even into a higher level and more humanistic.
Of course.
When dealing with patients across the board.
Yes.
Whether it is from pain, whether it is cancer, whatever, the therapist is now has to work, and even though we do it, but now it's now packaged nicely for us to look at it.
And I think it definitely has to be worth of a physical therapist when you consider needing rehabilitation or just preventative measures. Why should I go to this physical therapist for this purpose, and why not?
That's a good statement,
Google,
because if
doesn't
you have
the empathy that a physical therapist would have.
Yes, because if you have if it's just going to remain at the tissue level, and you don't see that whole person, then you are really that's a shortcut, and it's not going to help the healing.
Yes.
Of the.
And then one of the disadvantages with that is you might get pain somewhere else due to your exercise, because pain is something that travels. and you don't know why. You know,
And the thing about pain is that it's not only at a tissue level. It's for instance, if you're stressed.
Yeah.
If you're even stressed, you have been given an exercise program and you're not able to execute it. And you have to have your therapy and you're stressed about that you didn't do that. You begin to tighten up, especially in the neck and shoulder area.
Yeah.
So relaxation techniques but if you have therapists who is working with you, the therapist is working with you, she understands your limitations. She understands the areas, things that you can use and what you are able to do and not do. Then your program is tailored realistically to your environment.
Before we close this morning, what is something that you can suggest to a viewer who they're in a good health condition physically, but let's say a preventative measure, so not coming to a physical therapist, but something that they can do at home, you know, whether it's just staying active, because I know that is one factor to allow your bones and your muscles to remain, I guess, youthful. But what is something that persons can do to just avoid having physical pain as they get older? And I'm saying this because, I mean, people, especially today, a lot of people work in offices and behind a desk and they're sitting majority of the day, and I know how bad that can be. So what would be your recommendation?
Okay, for example, let's take walking. Walking is very important. It does everything for your body. Increases the circulation, helps the breathing, the heart pumping. You don't necessarily have to do power walking, but the discipline of doing it regularly, that's important. If a patient, you have an elderly person at home and they're sitting for long periods, encourage them to do things, to get up, to walk around. If you didn't have pain, before sitting and being immobile will cause you pain. In many cases, we tell our patients, when you feel pain, do the exercises. Now, I guess I didn't highlight that for physical therapy to be also successful, it is not just a therapist. The patient is given home exercises, a home program to do. So between the patient and the therapist, you work together. But with people who are fine, but you want to keep them healthy, things like walking, swimming.
Yes.
If you can swim, walk in the pool.
What about stretching?
At your work desk, make sure that your computer, everybody sits before a computer. Make sure that it is at a proper level so that your neck is not either bent or head upwards for stress on your shoulder girdle and your arms.
Yeah.
Make sure that when you sit, you have a footrest, because that places, when you have a footrest, it places your pelvis in a nice and comfortable area to relieve the pressure on your back. Get up. And now you would see that there are Varidesks, which is a desk that you can raise and sit.
Yes.
People who
there's a new thing trending as well.
It's a theme in the World Physical Therapy Day. I think that, keep moving. Just keep moving. Even in ICU, physical therapists are in the ICU. And they come in there and they're moving the patients. It's on everything. Some of them are comatose and we're there and we are moving them, because if they get out of that coma and they are not, they're all tight, and how are we going to get them to stand and move?
One of the things I noticed that started trending was these standing desks or walking pads. And a lot of people started using it for remote jobs, especially, just so that they would remain active even while working, instead of sitting and working. Now they're walking and working, or standing and working. So
keep moving.
Yes.
Because sitting, research has shown that sitting is neck smoking. That's the damage that sitting for long periods have on your health.
Yes. Wow. So finally, as we wrap, what's your message to viewers about taking their physical health seriously and not waiting until something goes wrong before seeking help or before seeking advice from a physical therapist?
I would say that in these times there are lots of physical therapists and physical therapist clinics. There are walk-ins or what we call direct access. So the therapist will evaluate you and determine whether you need to have a doctor's referral. We have our red flags. We don't ever touch red flags where we indicate to the patient to see a physician. But if it is that you have a pain that is new, that is not something that is, it comes and it goes, it comes and it goes, we suggest take a look at, try first to see how you can handle it by taking a look at when it comes, under what circumstances. If it's you're sitting too long, you're getting pain and you stop sitting that long and it goes away, you know what that trigger is. However, if it's not settling, you can make a call to we have there several physical therapy clinics around, and they will evaluate you and maybe just give you a home program based on what is happening with you. And who knows, hopefully not, if there's something serious, then they will send you to point you in the right direction. But ignoring pain, ignoring disability is not an option. Grab it, get it early, and so that it doesn't get worse.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Romero, for joining me on the program this morning and having this conversation with me and for our viewers as well. And yeah, I think we covered everything that we possibly can, and I'm very pleased with what we were able to discuss.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, so before we wrap this morning, I wanted to touch on, because there was a conversation that we were supposed to have before that we are now unable to have, concerning the hurricane in Jamaica and the TNT students who are there right now. Now, I reached out yesterday, I spoke with some of the students who are at the UWI Mona campus, as well as the Trinidad and Tobago Student Association in Jamaica. They reached out expressing frustration that they wanted to clear up certain things or certain misleading information that they claim is being represented here in Trinidad and Tobago by our government, that they have not gotten any help or assistance from the Trinidad and Tobago government, whereas their fellow colleagues would have gotten assistance from their country's governments, Barbados, St. Vincent, etc. So this story, nearly 300 Trinidad and Tobago students studying at UWI Mona campus in Jamaica say they have been left without proper government support as Hurricane Melissa moves towards the island. The Trinidad and Tobago Students Association claims that students have been fully assisted are misleading, and that many have had to take their own travel or safety, had to make their own travel or safety arrangements. Now, other Caribbean governments have stepped in to help their nationals, and Trinidadian students say they've only received basic advisories and last-minute notices about flights that they could not afford to access in time. Some parents have also criticized the government's response, saying their children were effectively abandoned during an emergency. The TTSA says they are doing what they can to help students secure food and essential supplies as the storm nears, and they are urging the government to act quickly to ensure the safety and welfare of all Trinidad and Tobago nationals currently in Jamaica. This morning we were supposed to speak with Jaden Paris. He is the Vice President of the Trinidad and Tobago Student Association in Jamaica. And, but they temporarily lost power. So the interview was unable to happen, but I did tell him that I will still mention it as to what is happening over there. They did receive a lot of help from the High Commission in Jamaica, that is Ms. Fraser, I got reports that they were very helpful. They were able to gather a lot of resources from nationals who donated supplies, food supplies, to the students at UWI Mona campus. They also said, and those items were distributed on campus. They also said that a lot of these students, the college just advised students, which is all they can do, to stay in a particular hall on campus and just stay indoor. This is a conversation that I would still like to have. So as the course of the day goes by, we'll see what are some of the updates that I get from them, and if we're able to still have this conversation tomorrow morning, we will do so. Also depends on how much Hurricane Melissa affects them, as the hurricane is supposed to pass at some time today and tomorrow, so we will see how that goes. But it's a lot happening, and they are very frustrated, so we do hope that they see some sort of response from the government at least. That brings us to the end of AM Prime this morning. I would just like to thank all my guests for joining me on the program, as well as you, the viewers. Don't forget, you can interact with us on commenting, leave a comment on our live streams. That's on Facebook and YouTube. You can also WhatsApp us at 682-9376, and we will respond. You can give your suggestions, give your thoughts on the show, and we will respond to you. Don't go too far. We have Shawn Michael Small on the hour of 8 o'clock with Talking Points, and I will see you back here again tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.
WESN.
Do you need treatment for obesity or any related abdominal procedures? The community hospital now offers minimally invasive laparoscopic surgery done by an American-trained, board-certified surgeon with over 20 years' experience.
Give us a call at 235-5479 for more information.
The Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist,
where good private health care is affordable.
Low energy? Heart concerns? Migraines slowing you down? It's time to take control of your health. Join Wellness Unlocked, the series that brings expert advice and real solutions for a healthier you. In our latest episode, learn how Jameson CoQ10 can help support heart health, boost energy, and even reduce migraines. Get the science, the stories, and the steps to power up your health with CoQ10. Don't miss Wellness Unlocked. Watch now on WESN and start your wellness journey today.
Bill and Ruth fell in love with the Benjamin Moore color Dry Sage, but they tried to match it using another brand's paint.
I mean, it's close enough.